Hello everyone, welcome back to ASR, African Stories Realized. This is a full recap of Adulting Season 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Episode 1 picks up with Tiki Tiki's release from prison. The gents pick him up and he has a heartfelt reunion with his mother before reluctantly going out with the boys to celebrate his release. The boys hit the strip club and catch up with each other. Bonga hooks Eric up with a threesome while the other gents get busy with ladies in the club. Tension begins to build in the club, first between Bonga and Nkanyezi's brother before Vuyani started a fight in the club over a girl, and the gents wasted no time backing him up, with Eric doing most of the damage, but the fight ended with the gents getting kicked out of the club. Back at Mpo's place, him and his wife are enjoying a second honeymoon, whilst Vuyani and Bonga have found themselves new girlfriends. Vuyani seems to be doing good for himself, and his girlfriend seems to be age appropriate this time. Eric makes plans to visit his daughter, and the gents accompany him. He reunites with Nkumisa and plans to take her home, but her family refuses because he can't provide for her so soon after being released from prison. With heavy hearts, Eric and his daughter said their goodbyes with the gents making their way back to Jozi. Back in Jozi, Bonga meets a new girl at the club and convinces her to leave with him. But as they're leaving, he sees his ex Nkanyezi on a date and can't stop thinking about her even as he hooks up with the girl he just picked up. Meanwhile, Mpo gets a visit from Palesa, his ex-side chick from season 1. She was only around for an episode before she dumped Mpo to get married, but the episode ends with Palesa revealing to Mpo that she was pregnant before she got married and the baby is his.
Bob Marley mfana, no woman no cry. Basari was always
anje boy wakhuluma ngazuthi lento lena nje indaba entsha kodwa ungayazi.
Mona the last time ngibona Palesa, she came to my house and just already nalena bagawana obadla a family. Now sandlela limpa unjutsa uri kina le ngwana.
Condom. Ngasho condom. Mina mawuhlule phula thenge condom. Thenge condom.
Boy, ngwana nare umo preventioning, she's taking pills. Kese.
Ngeke lemsengi wena nje lento uyazi nje baze bakusendele ithombo umuntu athi hayi nali iphilisi ngithathile. Ngoba ufuna ukutrap. Hayi ndoda. Uyahlala wena.
Episode 2 picks up where episode 1 left off, with Palesa's revelation that Mpo is the father of her child. Mpo, however, is defiant and finds it difficult to accept that he is the father of Palesa's daughter. He confides in the gents, who encourage him to find out the child's paternity before denying that it's his. Mpo then pays Palesa a visit, where the two argued about how their affair ended before agreeing to take a DNA test. Meanwhile, back at his family home, Vuyani has invited his new girlfriend Zelda to meet his family for dinner. Vuyani's father is impressed that his son has found himself a smart, beautiful young woman. However, he encourages him to make his intentions clear and take the necessary steps towards matrimony. Meanwhile, Bonga has his hands full with Bushe, the girl he picked up last week. She has now become clingy, whilst Bonga is quickly losing interest. After tolerating her for most of the episode, Bonga asks her to leave his place, but she causes a scene and breaks some of Bonga's valuables on her way out. The gents then link up in Soweto for some drinks at a bar where some drama unfolds. A loud woman named Diminkis arrives and assaults a waitress for sleeping with her man. Tiki Tiki steps in to calm Diminkis down after she threw the waitress into the swimming pool. Eric and Deminkis flirted for a bit before he took her back to his place where they hooked up. Back at Palissa's place, Mpho returns with the DNA test. He meets the child for the first time and there is a clear connection when Mpho holds her in his arms. The episode ends on a cliffhanger as Mpho and Palissa wait for the DNA results.
Sorry, do I know you?
Petolagas ko. Kopalang kutlelle ne. Enong kutlelle pi. A ke tlo bolela hape. Monna o ntse o emeng le ena mo ntse mo shena metsi. Kwa. Asware. Ene o ikirele favor ne. O tlhalele thole le. Otherwise nyaka nna. Ene ha o nyaka nna. Ke tlo jesa fengu wena. O tla ithoka wa down Mokwanji.
Episode 3 picks up at Eric's place, where his new girl, Deminkis, is making herself at home and cooking up breakfast. She also meets Eric's mother, who doesn't approve of the new girl Eric has brought home. The gents then link up at the gym, where a man comes looking for Vuyani, revealing that he is in debt. He asks Bonga to lend him 50,000, but Bonga claims that his money is all tied up. Vuyani then resorts to taking up private workout sessions with Thembiseto's character, an older woman named Portia. She pays him 30,000 for the session, but she makes him work for it, promising him that there's more where it came from. Meanwhile, Mpho pays Palissa a visit and has accepted that the daughter is his. He takes the decision to come clean to Zitulele. However, he backs out and instead spoils her out of guilt, especially when Zitulele suggests that they start trying to have another baby. The gents then get a chance to meet Deminkis, who invites herself to Bonga's birthday celebration. The gents beg Eric not to bring her to the party. Eric disregards the warnings and brings her to the party, where she didn't hesitate to threaten a girl she felt was flirting with Tiki Tiki. Despite Bonga telling them to leave their women at home, Vuyani and Mpho also arrived with their partners, Zelda and Zitulele. During the party, Bonga and Mpho had a heart-to-heart, where he offered Mpho the opportunity to subcontract on one of his jobs. This will allow him to make some extra money for Palissa and his daughter, rather than steal from the savings he has with Zitulele. Bonga then returns to hooking up with women in the party until he is rudely interrupted by Buhle, the girl he kicked out last week. She once again causes a scene, which ends with Bonga kicking everyone out and ending the party prematurely. Two of the women from the party stay behind to keep Bonga company, but his after party is also interrupted by a knock on the door. To his surprise, the unexpected visitor is his father. The episode ends with the revelation that Bonga's father has cancer.
Wena uyaphapha wena. Thatha ukudla kwakho.
Fana nawe. Fulapula koluphi?
Angithi thina fanele silambe manje ngoba silambisa iCapsize.
Capsize wa?
Uceda ukujikisa into yokuthenga ngoba udronka ile Capsize yale yellow eceda ukuhamba.
Uringani?
Tseki mina ngisekitchen ngibhizi ngenza sure ukuthi wena udlile maloku usebenza kanti wena ubhizi ugijimisana namatsiba.
Anginasikhathi lento ngitshalayo. Mina ngizoyenza imali. Letha le gawula.
Tsek moshipisa khayithethu man.
Sakhethethu azongifaka umuntu ondunu wena. Uze nani la? Umthe uthi ngimoshika ubhiza sakhethethu.
Okay.
Phela na ukuzithengela iroll on kwenzela ne favor ngijola nawe. Akho umuntu ofuna ukujola negodzini.
Uyisibela ka iroll on.
Jola masimba wena. Jola masimba wena.
Obonisa mawe.
Bonisa mangimaka. Yewena uthini? Bonisa mangimaka.
Episode 4 picks up in the aftermath of last week's reveal that Bonga's father has cancer. The father-son duo discuss his diagnosis, with Bonga suspecting that the old man is running some type of con. Meanwhile, at Eric's place, Minky catches a customer flirting with her mechanic boyfriend, which leads to her driving off in a rage. Eric tries to report it as stolen, but the police laugh him out of the station. Eric's mother then confronts him about his reckless behavior after being released from prison and his toxic relationship with Deminkis, who she doesn't approve of. However,
To his mother's disappointment, Eric is not trying to hear it. He finally finds Diminkis partying with her friends. The couple causes the scene with Eric dragging his girl to the car while Diminkis playfully resists. Looks like she has our boy Tiki Tiki right where she wants him. Back at Bonga's place, the gents bond with Bonga's father, who appears to be a crowd pleaser. So good of a crowd pleaser that Bonga questions his diagnosis and offers to take his father for a second opinion from a doctor he can trust. Bonga's doctor confirms that his father is indeed suffering from stage 4 cancer, and as the reality begins to set in for Bonga, he promises to help his father fight the disease. Vuyani's girl got her screen phone damaged at Bonga's party and refuses to repair it for cheap. So Vuyani has to go to work, and his main way of making money currently is hooking up with Portia. But tensions rise when her husband arrives shortly after one of their sessions. Luckily for them, Portia's husband actually believed that Vuyani was just her personal trainer, or maybe he was playing dumb. Vuyani then returned to Zelda's bed and they started discussing the future, but Zelda's reaction to Vuyani mentioning marriage didn't suggest she sees a long-term future with him. Meanwhile, Mpho has begun his new job subcontracting from Bonga. He pays off his wife's car in full and renovates Palisa's home, buying her gifts and hiring a nanny for their daughter. Palisa is over the moon and the former lovers even start flirting. However, Mpho is pissed that Palisa went out without telling anyone, and when she returned home, Mpho confronted her. The episode ends with their argument, resulting in a steamy love-making session.
And then? What's that, baby? Ha! Ukhipha izede. Uzolanda mina. Ah, mara nawe baby.
Niki baleka! Ligeza liphambele baleka!
Mama, akoyemenyana.
Episode 5 picks up with Mpho waking up in a panic after spending the night with Palisa. He gets home and finds that his wife is already on her way out for a radio interview where she shares the couple's story. Meanwhile, Bonga and his father lock horns over his cancer treatment. His father insists that traditional medicine will save him, whereas Bonga's trying to get him help from the best doctors money can buy. The doctors that Bonga takes his father to recommend an operation and chemotherapy to help fight the cancer, but Bonga's father refuses. An unbothered Bonga then confides in the gents about his father's reluctance to have the operation. Mpho encourages Bonga to support his father, and all the gents agree that Bonga is more like his father than he wants to admit. The group then roasted and embarrassed Mpho about his wife's radio interview, even going as far as calling her Jada. However, an embarrassed Mpho confronted Zitulele when he got home, even though he had already hooked up with Palisa again in this episode. Just as things seem to be getting better between Mpho and his wife, she again raises the possibility of them trying for another child. In an effort to lure Mpho away from his family, Palisa lied about their daughter being sick, forcing a concerned Mpho to immediately rush over to her place, but he quickly got over the lie and they hooked up again. Meanwhile, Eric and Minky's make up, but his mom still doesn't approve, reminding Eric that he still has a daughter to look out for. But Eric insists Minky's makes him happy. However, it doesn't take long before the toxic couple are at it again, with Minky picking a fight with a girl she felt Eric was flirting with. An angry Minky then went to argue with Eric before taking her things and leaving. Meanwhile, Zelda makes Vuyani feel guilty for failing to pay for her girl's trip, even claiming that her boss had offered to cover the trip. However, this leads to an argument between the two, with Zelda shutting Vuyani down after he suggested her boss wants her. At the gym Vuyani works, he meets a new client interested in his private sessions, and after cashing out, he splashed $50,000 on a new handbag for Zelda and promised her that she will be on the next trip to Zanzibar. He finds common ground with his father, whose condition worsens throughout the episode. The old man ultimately passed out after an emotional moment with his son, where he finally agreed to do the operation. A concerned Bandile rushed his father to the hospital, where they immediately began operating. The gents arrived at the hospital to support Bonga, but tensions rose when they started roasting Vuyani about the 50K purse he bought for Zelda, accusing him of sleeping with women at the gym for money. An embarrassed Vuyani denied it, but Bonga was adamant, revealing to the group that Vuyani recently came to him for a 50,000 Rand loan. Vuyani wasn't happy with that, and to everyone's surprise, told Bonga to stay out of his business and focus on his dying father. After killing the mood, Vuyani was forced to leave, with Eric also making an exit when they started roasting him about Minky's, who he was visibly missing. Eric made his way to Minky's home where she lives with her mother and demanded to see her. Minky's family denied knowing her and asked Eric to leave, but he wasn't taking no for an answer. Eric pulled out his gun and once again demanded to see the Minky's. Just as Eric was about to break the door, the Minky's returns home and is excited to see Tiki Tiki carrying a gun, despite her mother telling her to run. In an unexpected twist, the episode ends with Eric breaking up with Minky upon realizing that his mother was right about his relationship sending him down a dark path he won't be able to come back from.
Baby City, asinangane nje encane la ekhaya.
Oh, babe. Sansa mahlanzo no.
Oh, hey love. Benjani show?
Nebora. Akere no sabatlo ngijoina ngife kubo ya bukhosi.
Yazi kungcole kanjani ungcolile nje. Nawazi uthi ungcolile.
In episode 6, Bonga's father is back on his feet after his operation, but he once again refuses to take his medication, instead reverting to the traditional methods of intervention. At his next checkup, the doctors report that the old man's cancer has spread and he doesn't have much time left. A drunk Bonga then paid his ex, Nkanyezi, a visit in the middle of the night. He breaks down telling her about his father's situation, and Nkanyezi consoles him. Bonga and his father return to his mother's place, where they share the news with the rest of the family. Bonga's father and brother still believe that he can beat the disease with traditional medicine. Bonga's brother also helped him to come to the realization that his father wasn't always the bad guy, and that Bonga may have judged him too harshly. Meanwhile, Vuyani is suspicious of Zelda after she comes home with a bouquet of flowers. Vuyani tried to question the origin of the flowers, but Zelda sidestepped his questions and is very good at gaslighting Vuyani. At the gym he works at, Vuyani met a new woman interested in his private sessions, but this time he wouldn't get paid, with the woman threatening to report him to his boss for selling sex in the gym. The gents then linked up for one of their regular chill sessions where they catch up. A story Bonga told the group gave Mpho the crazy idea to move Palesa and their daughter into the same housing estate that he lives in with his wife and twins. Mpho immediately started putting this plan into motion, but his double life fantasy would soon be in jeopardy. Zelda, who is friends with Zitu, spotted Mpho while he was shopping with Palesa and the baby. She playfully interrogated them, with Mpho claiming that Palesa was his cousin. Mpho and Zitu threw a birthday party for their twins, where Zelda arrived with Vuyani and started playfully asking about Mpho's supposed cousin. Luckily for Mpho, Zitu was too busy hosting a party for her boys. But after the party, the increasingly suspicious Zitulele was preparing to do laundry when she found a receipt from a baby shop in one of her husband's pants pockets. She surprisingly held her composure and didn't confront Mpho, but if season 1 is anything to go by, that's when she's most dangerous. Meanwhile, at Eric's place, his mother expresses how grateful she is that he broke up with Minky. Eric shares how not being able to bring his daughter back home from the Eastern Cape led to his downward spiral. With the support of his mother and pastor, Eric returned to the Eastern Cape in another attempt to bring his daughter back home. Natasha's family immediately refused to believe that Eric had changed in 3 months, but after a heartfelt plea from our boy, he was finally allowed to bring his daughter home. An intimate welcome home celebration for Nkumisa was interrupted by the noise of shattering glass outside. The episode ends with a confrontation between Eric and Minky, who has returned to completely vandalize Eric's car with a cricket bat.
Are ithunze and I have to go kilomthusi. Oh ke sleep sa baby suit mose. How love? Wa mopola ke re ke neilwe. Cousin ya ke le ngahlakana le ke Manseld. Hey, love batho itse batho ba hlopheya kantle ka mo. I have to ke lo mthusa ka o reka dinepe.
Ukinilwe igama lakhe. Awushongo kumina ukuthi ukidibona igama lakhe. Sekukinilwe manje.
In episode 7, Eric and his grandmother getting Gumisa ready for school. After Eric dropped her off at school, Minky's fate from the previous episode is revealed, with Eric bailing her out after getting her arrested. The couple has what seemingly looked like a moment of closure, with Eric telling her she's a great woman, but essentially she's not submissive enough and two alphas can't coexist in a relationship. After school, Nkumisa returned behaving like a completely different person, unlike the respectful young girl Eric brought home from the Eastern Cape. She clashed with Eric's grandmother over dirty dishes, and I even felt bad for the old lady as Nkumisa unleashed a disrespectful tirade on her. Eric stepped in to mediate, but it was evident that his daughter had him wrapped around her little finger, with his grandmother warning him that Nkumisa is getting out of hand, even encouraging Eric to enforce some discipline. And I agree, she needs an old school whooping for talking to her grandma like that. Meanwhile, at Mpo's place, a suspicious Zitulele questions Mpo about the cousin that he introduced to Zelda last week. And it's here where Mpo made her suspicious by using a different name. Later on, Zitulele woke up and started snooping. She was able to unlock Mpo's phone while he was asleep, and the look on her face as she was going through the phone said it all. She once again didn't mention any of what she uncovered, but started doing random checkups and surveillancing him a bit more. After a night out with the boys and a detour through Palisas, Mpo arrived home to the interrogation of his life, with Zitulele confronting him with all the evidence she gathered, demanding he tell her everything. Vuyani and Zelda went on a date at the park where she once again shot down Vuyani's talk of getting married. Vuyani shared his intentions with the gents, with Mpo especially cautioning him against marriage. In a surprising twist, Nkanyezi paid Bonga a visit and found his family hanging out in his apartment. Bonga returned from shopping and was shocked to find that Nkanyezi was bonding with his family. The former couple caught up with each other, with Nkanyezi promising to come by to see Bonga and his family again before departing. However, Bonga later confided in Eric, sharing his doubt that him and Nkanyezi will ever get back together. Family time at Bonga's place is then interrupted by an emergency, with paramedics arriving to rush Bonga's father to the hospital. Bonga, his brother and mother all confronted the doctor at the hospital, who admitted to the family that the old man was dying. The tearful family was given the opportunity to say their goodbyes to Bonga's father. The episode ends with him taking one last sip of his son's flask before peacefully passing away with his grieving family around him.
Ka kgola ha ntse o bua ka non dintwa ha o bue ka nna ne ke ka kopa hore o itshware. Okay, please ha re respectane se ke ra jajana.
Yes.
I think we're here to make peace.
Yes, Israel. Israel Palace. Israel. Tabelele peace.
Ubiza mina ngosisi. Ngiyena usisi wakho mina ngazi la uqhamuka khona nosisi abafana nami.
Episode 9 picks up with Vuyani and Zelda working out together, where Zelda suggests that she joins Vuyani's gym classes, but he quickly declines. We are then reintroduced to Portia, who Vuyani is still hooking up with. However, Portia's husband must have been onto them, because he interrupted Vuyani's gym class to confront him. The scorned husband humiliated Vuyani at gunpoint, and ultimately the video made it online, but Vuyani was able to explain himself to Zelda. However, he was forced to confess to a disappointed Zelda because she wanted to sue Portia's husband for the assault. I wish they'd shown us exactly how Portia's husband found out, because he just came out of nowhere all angry and somehow he knew everything about what Vuyani had been doing. Meanwhile, at Eric's place, his daughter and grandmother are once again at odds, with the old lady accusing Gumisa of stealing her money. Eric tried to mediate and gave her daughter a benefit of a doubt, but the old lady warned him once again, even going as far as calling Gumisa a problem child. Gumisa went on to manipulate her father into allowing her to attend a pens down party, even though Gogo's money was still unaccounted for. However, Gumisa stayed out beyond her curfew, forcing Eric to go and get her. Eric arrived at the party when Kumisa revealed her true colors to her father in a drunken tirade. Eric took her home by force, where their argument continued, but it ended with Eric banishing his daughter to the Eastern Cape. At Mpo's place, Zitu is still giving him the cold shoulder. She demands a meeting with Palesa to discuss a way forward. The two women finally come face to face and they immediately started going at each other. No progress was made as the meeting ended with Mpo trying to stop a heated exchange between the two women. However, Mpo ultimately showed his hand when he apologized to Palesa and confessed that he wants to be with her and their daughter, but he has to play his cards right carefully because him and Zitulele are married in community of property. They have no prenup. It was also revealed that he didn't tell Zitu everything. She does not know that this is an ongoing affair. In the aftermath of Bonga's father's funeral, he met up with Tiki Tiki at the gym, where they discussed Nkanyezi and her fiancé. Bonga admitted to Eric that Nkanyezi still had a hold over him, and the former couple linked up, but they wouldn't part on good terms. Bonga finally lost his cool and confronted Nkanyezi about her new relationship. The two had a heated exchange before Bonga drove off to the club to pick up a woman. The episode ends at Bonga's place with him kicking out the woman he just picked up with a worried look on his face, suggesting that something may be wrong.
Yes, Flex Family Fiesta food?
I definitely didn't order that. Can you check if the address is correct?
Hello, sir. I'm here at 908. Thanks. Wrong address.
Who are you talking to?
The right address.
Aibo, yay wena. Shembe nkulunkulu wami. Ungiphofu.
Episode 10 picks up with Vuyani, who has returned to his family home after getting dumped by Zelda. His father expressed his disappointment in him, and his day got worse when he returned to the gym to find that he had been fired from the establishment. Vuyani spent a few nights at Bonga's place while he contemplated an offer from Portia to move to Camps Bay with her. Vuyani ultimately turned down the move to Cape Town, and in a twist, moved back in with Beth, his sugar mommy from last season. Meanwhile, at Eric's place, Nkumisa promised him she would behave, but it doesn't take long before she starts bunking school to smoke marijuana with her friends. Eric once again had to hunt her down and bring her home, where they argued, with Eric ultimately losing his cool and smacking Nkumisa after she said some hurtful things. Nkumisa reported her father to the police, who showed up at Eric's place to arrest him in a heartbreaking scene. However, Gogo seemingly made a breakthrough in a heart-to-heart with her granddaughter, who revealed she had dropped the charges against her father. Bonga continued on a downward spiral following his father's passing and finding out that Nkanyezi has a new man. Despite sleeping with as many women as possible, Bonga still struggled to get over Nkanyezi and once again ended up at her house, where he confronted her about her pending marriage before passing out. The following morning, the former couple had a moment of closure, with Bonga seemingly accepting that Nkanyezi had moved on, although she did look like she was second-guessing herself. Meanwhile, Mpo has continued his affair with Palesa and uses work as a cover, but Zitulele begins to suspect that something is up. Mpo tells her that he is going away for a work trip when he actually plans to spend a few days with Palesa and his daughter. However, he makes a fatal error when ordering food. The food is delivered to his home by mistake, tempting a suspicious Zitulele to follow the delivery guy all the way to Palesa's home, where Mpo is playing house with his new family. To her shock, Mpo stepped out to collect the food with the baby in his arms. When Mpo finally returned home, his wife and the twins were gone. Zitu had packed up everything and left without saying a word. The episode ends with Mpo desperately trying and failing to reach his wife as he comes across the note she left behind, confirming that she's leaving him. Now that really felt like a finale. I don't know why Mpo was crying. He admitted in episode 9 that he was only staying with Zitulele because they were married in community of property. It seems like he made his choice. Zitu got a bigger role this season and she killed it. It was a very powerful performance from her, and the consistency of their storyline really held the season together. It's very much back to square one for Vuyani and Bonga, which sucks because I felt like their characters came a long way this season. Bonga was able to find closure with his father and Nkanyezi, however, I don't think we've seen the last of Nkanyezi. I'm honestly beginning to doubt if she's engaged at all, because we haven't seen her so-called partner since Bonga's father's funeral. There's something up there and maybe I'll explore it in a future video. As much as Vuyani was still sleeping with older women for money, this season he was doing it reluctantly and even admitted to Bonga that he was only doing it to fund Zelda's lifestyle. So it was disappointing to see him move back in with his season 1 sugar mommy, who was extremely controlling. The show might have undermined its own character development there. I also think Zelda was underutilized. I think she could have played a bigger role in helping Zitu find out about Mpho's love child, and the show kept hinting that there was more to her, but they never followed through. There was a point I thought Zelda might be having an affair with her boss, and I thought that her boss was Portia's husband. Especially because in episode 9 when Vuyani brought expensive champagne home from Portia's place, Zelda mentioned that she had seen it in her boss's private collection. In contrast, Tiki Tiki's character development really stuck. His toxic relationship with Minky almost led him astray, but the whole season he's been on a mission to be a better person and look after his daughter. I also like that Gogo and Nkumisa were given bigger roles to play this season. The stage is set for season 3, and I hope they won't keep us waiting too long. It's been a pleasure reviewing this show with you guys, and I'll be back next season with more reviews. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is ASR for the love of African filmmaking and storytelling.